The next and new in GCC, Tech Integrated Enterprise Services, unveiling of self-assessment tool, TIES. And delivering that to you is Sanjay Gupta, Chief Architect, SSF Global. Sanjay has more than 3 decades of work experience in the fields of management, business process, finance, and human resources. He comes with a blend of experience in global and domestic corporations in the private sector and public sector organizations in various capacities. Currently, Sanjay divides his time between SSF activities and consulting for large corporates. He's also a passionate teacher of the English language and coaches the underprivileged children, youth, and young adults. So it's over to you, Sanjay, to take that ahead.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you, Sangeeta, and thank you, everyone, for your attention. Your time, I realize, is very, very precious, so I will try and keep this very, very brief. First thing, I'll stay on the stage, unlike Ravi, who walked around, and there's only one reason for that. If I walk around on the floor in the front, everyone on the back will have to stand up to see just the top of my head. So I have decided to stay on the stage so that people on the back are not so. Oh yeah, thank you. So the people on the back are not so put to difficulty for having to see me. Now, we've been talking right since the afternoon about how this industry has evolved, and so many leaders have come to us thinking and telling us about the various stages that the organizational, different kinds of organizations have gone by and done. Clearly, a very, very large difference that has, I would say, come pretty much like a bombshell in the last few years is the involvement of the IT sector. Some will say that the IT has always been a part of this industry. In fact, initially, I remember when I walked into the American Express world in the year 95, sometime even immediately after that, it began to be called the ITES industry, which was IT-enabled services. So IT has always been there every time. In fact, the entire industry has been kind of IT driven, because the systems began to be accessed remotely using at that time VPNs and dial-ups and stuff like that. And also the systems themselves, everything was on the system. So the ERP was the main, even though it was blue screens and green screens and all that, but it was the main thing. But whatever has happened in the last so many years is that the transformation has in the initial years been gradual, but in the recent years has been dramatic. The speed at which 5 years ago, 50% of the people in this room would not even have heard of things like AI. It wasn't a thing that we were normal people were talking about. We have suddenly been bombarded with AI and ChatGPT and OpenAI, and controversies may have come in and gone and so on and so forth. But the whole point is that it has become an integral part. It has become so much of an integral part of the organizational culture that it has now become a pressure point on a lot of people. I can tell you for sure, because we speak to a lot of corporates, there are dozens of companies who only try to implement AI because that's the fashion. Somebody on the top says, I want AI. There is this directorship meeting happening, and one of the directors turns up and says, I'm a director on so-and-so a company, and they've already installed AI as a part of their business. So why don't we have AI as a part of this business here? And that's it. It's a mandate. It comes down the chain. It gets into the organization. And some poor IT fellow is mandated the task of finding a location where AI can be installed. That's the only requirement that many companies have. Find a place where you can install AI so that I can also go back to the board and say, I operate AI. This was the same thing a few years ago people used to use for bots. How many bots do you have? How many bots do you have? Oh, I have more bots than yours. I don't even know whether a lot of people understood what the hell a bot is. And whether one bot here could be equal to 5 bots, and I have 5 bots, you have only one, that one is doing more work than these 5 put together. But that doesn't matter. I have 5. That was a style. It became a style issue. There was no definition of how this is going to be used. Purpose was lost somewhere halfway along the way, and there was no defined methodology. I'm not saying that's the case everywhere or everybody, but that was quite a scene. It was quite popular to really be able to talk about how my automation engine works, whether you need it or not. Of course, now it has become a lot more prevalent. But same thing has been replaced culturally by AI, and tomorrow there's going to be something else. AI will also become passé, and there will be something else. We've been realizing this and talking to a lot of corporates about all of these technologies. We have also followed this very closely and recognized the fact that we are not an industry which is IT enabled anymore. IT has become an integral part of the organizational ethos. In fact, IT is the business of a lot of corporates now. And GCCs particularly, and I'm not only restricting myself to GCCs for the moment, but even otherwise within the organizations, integrated IT has become a part of the culture. There are so many companies which have actually come up just because the IT systems are the ones which are actually driving it. We all know online retail shops, Ola's, Ubers of the world, etc. All of them are only there because the IT evolved to a certain level. The point we have realized also is that not many measures exist on how to assess whether you need the IT and what level do you need the IT, and how do you measure what level are you on today. We, of course, want everything that we do to be providing value. So the first step that we actually did was we created a chart which said, what is value? Let's try and look at what we mean by the word value. Most often we talk about value as the financial value. And we say, all right, I have taken a particular step, I have done a particular investment, and the one thing that I need from that investment is ROI. If this investment is not likely to give me a return, maybe now or maybe a few years from now, then what the hell am I making that investment today? It makes no sense. It's true that ROI is important. And many organizations do go into the ROIs, but unfortunately, they go into the ROI only. So we created a very simple metrics. By the way, this metrics is also there on the charts, these tent cards, which are on your tables, just because in case you need to go through them. Oops, yeah. And we said that value is actually a combination of 3 different categories of objectives that an organization needs to follow whenever you try and make investments in the company. Those 3 objectives really are not only goals and financial results and metrics, performance metrics and deliverables and timelines, but they're also equally at pari passu parallel to, let's say, customer experience. If you have a very good investment that gives you good results financially, but your customers don't come back to you, or your customers are unhappy. Mr. Sanjay Dora was talking about, how many times he has to call an IVR, and the only thing he learns is that, press this for this and press to, etc. He doesn't want to press any of them, right? His fantastic program, the IT manager is super thrilled. I have created a digital platform which does not require human intervention, so I can, save cost, and the human intervention is reduced to 10% of what it was. Oh my God, but Mr. Dora is extremely upset. Mr. Dora is saying, oh, hell with you, yaar. I'll live with the problem. I can't live with you. So that's the problem. That customer experience is gone. It's been thrown out of the window. I'm saying extreme case, but that's the mindset. Same is the case with governance and risk. You may actually make an investment, which you need to make an investment, purely for the purpose of improving your governance structure, purely for the purpose of improving risk exposure. You know, we all talk about BCP, we all talk about DRP, and we make that investment. What ROI, pray, does BCP, DRP ever give you? There is no way you can calculate the ROI on a BCP, DRP, but this BCP, DRP, especially after this COVID thing, etc., and so many things that we've gone through, they are extremely important and a part of life. So we are also covering, and we are saying that, just we've given a few examples. I mean, they're not examples, but they are a little more elaborate on value delivery, financial or business results, meaningful insights for actions, clearly single source of truth. Instead of having multiple possibilities, just one source, everybody reaches out, makes sure that the answer and the solution is the same, even if you're asking from different organizations, different questions from different directions. Stakeholder experience and value delivery for strategic operations. For this, at least in as far as ITES or ITIS is concerned, we have created what we call IT-enabled enterprise services. The IT-enabled enterprise services is a model that we have created to try and define that if we were to make a particular investment in the IT sector, which everyone has to, how you make an assessment of where you actually are. Just because you have a bot, are you right up there? Or if you already got AI installed in your organization, are you up there? Or if you have a fantastic ERP, are you all there? Because it's very easy to say, I have ERP, I have SAP, I have. Are you even using your SAP to the fullest extent possible? Many organizations not even doing that, and they're talking about AI. So we found that there are 3 sections within the technical group, which we've called technology dimensions, which are the foundational technologies, the very basic technologies. We'll come to the definitions in a bit. But the very basic technologies, infrastructure, networking, email, stuff like that, ERP. So many, they're foundational. Everybody has them. Then they're functional. The functionals are the one which specifically you need for a particular function. I'm from finance, and so financial business functions. So there are so many applications that one needs for financial. And finally, these transformational, the ones which have recently come up. You know, the app-based, the cloud-based, the data-based, big data, smash it, what we have all been taught so many years ago. All of that. These are all the transformational technologies which has changed. Blockchain completely changed the way. Of course, blockchain is now out and away. Everybody's just kicked it out. But Mr. Donald Trump, for some reason, has brought it back up. At least the outcome of it, not the blockchain itself. Then we also said, by the way, that's not the only thing. To be able to assess where your organization is, there are certain operational dimensions that you need to see. And those operationals are breadth and depth. You may have some applications that you can use and deploy, but are they across the organization and are they deep enough? That's the important thing. You may have it in finance, you have it in IT, HR ko sab bhul jate hain. Excepting their HRMS, one database, nothing else works. Everything else is done manually somewhere or the other. And in many things, you are always, how many people in this let me just see an account of show of hands, please. Sorry. Just a sort of change of thought. MS Excel. Every one of you is a leader in your organization. Hand to heart. How many people are using MS Excel for process and business functions? I just want to make an assessment. MS Excel. आपके कंप्यूटर में किसके है? terrible. That's the problem. I know, I think that's the solution. No, that's the problem. That's the problem. Clearly, MS Excel, unless completely integrated and required as a necessity in the organization, is a aberration, is an abnormality. If the business tool or the functional tool is not able to provide the solution, then you're saying MS Excel, no, I'll take the report from the report writer, but then some parts of it I will put on Excel, and the presentation that I want to make to the board has to be coming from the Excel file, not from the report. That's the problem. And that's why we keep saying breadth and depth is always a question mark. Then partnering collaboration. We have spoken a lot about partnering collaboration. It's so important in the world of IT businesses, in IT integration. Finally, people and culture. Yeah, if it's going to come down as a mandate from the top and say, I want AI to be installed in some organization, only the IT manager is unfortunately under the microscope. Nobody else will say, kya bakwas hai? Let me do my business, Baba. You go. That's what the IT guy hears every time. You go. I want to do my business. That's the problem. The culture is just missing or ignored because somebody all the time thinks that it's really of no use to anybody. This is an explanation. I'm going to skip this slide. It's basically an explanation of what these dimensions really mean a little more. Sometimes we also refer to these as towers. We'll come to that in a bit. But these dimensions really paraphrase these terms paraphrase these dimensions. Then we also figured out that in order for us to make an assessment of where we are, we need to parameterize them in levels and say, if you are somewhere where you have just got the basic stuff in place, you're just a level 1. And what the basic stuff means, we'll come to that. And that's the whole idea. And if you're a little better than that, then you're level 2. It's very simple, just like, you have, when you sit down for an examination and the result comes up, and if you've scored less than 40, you're a fail. And if you scored 40 to 60, you're class 2, what's that called? Third. And then you're second class or first class or whatever. I don't know what the systems are, but that's how it is. How well ingrained you are within the organization, or how your IT programs are running within the organization, system programs are running within the organization. This also is there on your tent card, the levels. We can talk more about it in a later stage. Based on this, there is a 2x2 matrix. It's a XY matrix that we have created, where we said, here are the towers in the orange and in the blue across that. And I know that many of you may not be able to read this. And it is purely for that purpose. We've filled it as much as we can so that nobody can see whether I've written story of a movie or whether this is anything factual. But we created this with a very clear mind, a very clear conscience in our mind about what do we really want to do, and how do we make an assessment of where we are. What does it mean? It is so easy to say, foundational technologies, you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or gut feel. We don't want this to be a gut feel. We want this to be a standard. Going ahead, we want this to become an industry standard. And going ahead, we have to make it a partnership program between all the industrial users to say, what does level 1 in foundational actually mean? When I say I'm level 1 in foundational, it should mean the same thing to everyone. And it should actually help us to create how to get to level 2. How do I become level 4? How do I become level 5? What does it take to do this and what does it take to do that? So if I were to just quickly go through this, I don't know how much time I have before we get others in. But this is the parameters that we have tried to. For example, I'll just take one. We'd say foundational technologies, which is the most basic necessity, the groundwork, the foundation, as we say. And we say that this is only the basic level. Organizations which have only the basic level of foundational technologies. We call this the basic level and initiated level is because many organizations who begin their businesses, they start off. That's why it's initiated. If they have the necessary infrastructure for the applications, if they have multiple ERP instances or one ERP with limited functionalities. There could be one ERP, but all functionalities are not open to everybody. Just one or two or three modules are being operated. Or else they have multiple. You know, many organizations actually have today, and by the way, there'll be dozens here amongst us also, where there'll be so many instances of ERP all running parallelly. Because this branch or this unit of my organization runs an ERPs a little differently, and this one runs a little differently, etc. So I have two instances of ERP even after 5 years of integration. They just don't want to integrate and make it into common thing, or in fact, more than 2, 3, 4, 5, especially if 5 years ago, I've lived through that organizational problem myself. You take over a company that is culturally very different ERP. This is a very different ERP. 5 years have gone by and that full integration will not happen. There's still problems between this and that. There are many such things. Not going into that. Now the question is, oh, it's very nice to say that if you are initiated, you call yourself initiated if you only have the necessary infrastructure. You call yourself initiated if you only have multiple ERPs. At the extreme left, if you go, you call yourself integrated if there is a robust tech infra with highest level of security and privacy, and you also have enabling apps well integrated with ERP and enterprise tech, well integrated. Angrezi, I'm sorry, I keep jumping into Hindi. This is a lot of English and very difficult to assess. What does it really mean, robust tech infra? I think I'm robust. You may think I'm just bust. But somebody else may think of something. So it is subject to individual interpretations. And we have attempted to clear away those interpretations by creating a common language for everything, a set of questions. Just my time or combined time is over? Okay, thank you. So we have created a questionnaire, so to say, with a set of questions that we can continue to ask ourselves and say, let's forget this for a moment. Let's forget it. And just ask ourselves a question. Do you have this? Yes or no? Then nothing else. It's a yes or no. You can't say maybe, nothing. Sorry. Yes, no. Take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4. That's it. Either it's a yes, no question, or it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 question. You can take 1. You can't take 2. You can only take 1. And at the end of these these questions, all 6 towers completed, we try and give ourselves a score. It's a self-scoring tool, not to be shared with anybody, but with ourselves, and of course, more. And I think I will now request my colleague Abhinav to come up and help us go through the entire tool itself, the toolification program. And over to you, Abhinav, while I just sort of sit.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Sanjay. So like they say, if you can't measure it, you can't fix it. That's what Sanjay was talking about. If you can't really measure what's going wrong with your IT environment, all you will do is you'll find here different priorities from different business units, and you'll end up possibly making wrong choices. So what Sanjay has spoken about is the why and what of the framework and the assessment tool. What I'm going to do with the help of my colleague who's actually worked on this tool, Sarvanan Rajan, who's as always sitting in the backstage and running through the screens. So this tool actually sits on our website, on the SSF Global website. So before you come here tomorrow morning, you can all actually complete your technology integrated readiness assessment. You can all do it. So this is the link where the tool sits. You can go to ssfglobal.com. If you scroll down, you will be able to find the frameworks that we have. We have TIES right on the extreme right. Click on that, and it will take you into the TIES Tech Integration Digital Maturity Assessment tool. What you would then be required to do is to click on Readiness Assessment. Simple. Once you do that, you will have to create your login ID. It takes about a couple of minutes. So Sarvanan will very quickly show us how the login ID is created. So these are some of the basic fields which we'd require from you, because this is almost done in a business environment, in a business setting. We'd require your business email ID for you to be able to do it. All of this comes without any cost to you, right? So before you think there is probably a credit card screen coming up anytime soon or anything of that sort, no. This is free to use. And we would love for each one of you to actually do it for your organization, your business units before you come in tomorrow, possibly, so that we can build more of a discussion around it, right? So once you actually create your ID login, you get into the assessment page. Sarvanan, if you go to the assessment page. Yep, so Sarvanan's logging in right now. He's going to log in through my ID. That's a security breach, but we'll live with it today. All right. Yeah, so Sarvanan is logging in or trying to create my ID and log in. Yeah, so Sarvanan has already started the test here, right? So there are some basic fundamental questions that we would ask you. Once you fill those up, how many employees, which industry do you come from, etc., you can submit it. And then after that, you would actually enter the test. We have about 25 odd questions, 24, 25 questions across the 6 dimensions that Sanjay was speaking about, 3 based on technology, 3 on operations, right? And each one of these questions, as you can see, as Sarvanan scrolls down, each question has 4 options. Only one is what you can select.
5, yeah.
The more honest you are, I'm sure everybody, each one of you has done psychometric assessment. The more honest we are to ourselves, the better answers we get and the more solutions we can get to. So as you fill in these answers, these 25 odd questions covering the 6 dimensions, 3 across technology, 3 across operations, it'll take about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25 if you really want to think through it. So that's how fast this is, okay? And once you've done all of this, you get in your dashboard a nice little report. Okay, so this is a sample report that we have across foundational, functional, and transformational technologies. Where do you stand? L5 being the highest, L1 being the lowest. So as you can see, the sample here is really high on functional technologies, but fairly low on transformational technologies. Now, this is where we start to see opportunities emerging. So if you want to have a conversation with your leader, with your functional head, with me, we can talk about how we can help you, or how you can actually start looking at bringing in more transformational technologies, because you're really doing well on functional. You're totally integrated there, right? And then on the operations side, we're seeing breadth and depth. People and culture is where you are low right now. So probably that's a very core area you need to work on. You may be bringing in the best technologies, but your people aren't really ready. Your leaders aren't really ready to get the best out of those technologies, right? So this is the kind of report that you'll get with a little bit of explanation. Once you have it, like I said, you can have more meaningful conversations. And that's the whole idea, for you to understand where you stand today, where you need to prioritize, where you will get the best bang out of your buck, right? So Sanjay, that's what I wanted to show. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhinav and Sarvanan. So just a few points while Abhinav has invited all of you to go through the tool, assess yourselves, etc. Just a couple of points here, that the tool is for the moment open for everybody. There is a data that you will post. Eventually, that data will become the sole proprietary of SSF Global. And obviously, the caveats, the legal caveats about data protection are all very much in place. and not a single iota of data will actually be shared publicly or to any organization, but all the name masked data will be used by SSF Global to create future refinements and also to come back for comparisons, feedbacks, and further developmental activities. So that's about it. Rakesh, do you want to add anything else?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
was just a couple of points. One is, I think you would be able to spot this link in our website. I think it's also available in the app very soon. What we would encourage everybody is to register and take this test with all honesty that you could, so that we can get as much data as possible. That will help us to evolve this too going forward. I think you would, get a very good value out of this to at least, understand the current status of your organization from technology, how technologically integrated you are. That's one. And this will give a feed through as well in the loop. There is a feedback form, which would help you or help us rather get your feedback in terms of the user friendliness of the tool, the context, the completeness. So your inputs would be very highly valid, and it will help us to refine it as fast as possible. So that's our request. So hopefully, if you get at least, everybody at least one assessment done through it in the next week or so, that would be helpful for us as well. Thank you. And you can reach out. There is a email ID that is specified in the website. If you get stuck, you need some assistance in completing the assistance, I think we would be happy to help as well. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.